everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. I hope that everyone's getting off to a great start for the day, for the week. Hopefully, you have some clear goals in mind for the things that you want to achieve and accomplish and fulfill for this week and beyond, and that you are actively, consistently, and intentionally pursuing that. I'm stopping in with you now because I want to just talk just a brief moment. I have a 9 o'clock appointment that I need to get to, but and it's about 8:43 now, so we're talking maybe. Hopefully, I can get this done in about 10 minutes. I have everything set up so I can kind of cut it close. But a friend of mine shared a quote from Dr. John Heinrich Clark earlier, and it just triggered something that I need to share, something I've talked about, I've written about quite extensively. Um, and so I got to be careful that I just don't go on a tangent because it's something I'm extremely passionate about. But he posted a quote in which Dr. Clark said that we are a people imitating people who are imitating us. And it just came to me that we're literally a people who are imitating imitators that are imitating us. And the only way that that can actually happen is there has to be an identity crisis. See, when you know who you are, you don't imitate someone who is literally copying off of you. You live out the fullness of your creativity that has put you in a position where others are imitating you. But we live in a world where the vast majority of us are still operating out of the paradigm through which we were defined by those who wanted to exploit us. We are literally living in an environment and reality where we still seek the approval and approbation of whites and other Europeans because we have been conditioned to believe that they know better. You have failed to understand the gravity of who you are. You have failed. We use a term or a phrase a lot, but we rarely discuss or endeavor to understand it, and that is know your worth. We talk about it all the time, but I see people talking about knowing their worth, but then I watch them behave as if they don't know who they are. They're still begging for permission to be great. They're still begging for someone's approval to step outside of the box. They're still waiting on somebody to tell them that they have permission to do A, B, C, D, or E, and that it's okay. It's okay to start your own business. It's okay to stand up and walk in your gifting. It's okay. And what we fail to see is that when they convince us that what we're doing is not acceptable, then turn around and appropriate it and then deem it acceptable and then exploit it for monetary gain. And we're looking around, man, it kills me. I remember when the twerking, quote unquote, craze took off in America. It's not actually anything new. It's actually quite old. It has its origins in Africa. It's not even sexual. Now you can make it what you want it to be. In a very perverted world, it becomes sexual. In a world where women are inherently and instinctively objectified, any movements of the hip become sexual. But in Africa, it's not a sexual dance, and it's an expressive dance. Entire tribes and villages dance and do it. It's definitely nothing new, but it became identified as something ratchet, something ghetto, and it was identified as such. And then we began to shame one another. We began to talk about one another. They labeled it, or they gave the impression, or we thought they would. We thought that they would disprove of it. And we don't want in any way to do anything that does not fall in line with the Eurocentric idea of what is. The Eurocentric idea of what's beautiful, the Eurocentric idea of what's classy, the Eurocentric idea of what's professional. and on and on and down the line. What's acceptable based on the Eurocentric idea? And it puts us in a situation where we're asking somebody permission to be us. We're born with rhythm, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason why we're born with rhythm. There's a spiritual element involved. There's more to melanin than just the color of the skin. There's more to understand about the pineal gland than just that it produces melanin. It's so much more than that. I don't have time to get into that. Like I said, I have a few minutes before I have to be on a session, so I'm gonna go back to what I'm talking about. But we wait on that permission. We're looking at the Eurocentric idea. But what got me is after twerking became quote unquote ghetto, it became unacceptable by those of us who consider ourselves refined and professional and classy. Uh, all of a sudden, twerking studios popped up all over America, and guess who owned them? White people. Guess who was teaching them? The blacks they hired. And then they would tell them if they weren't teachers. I mean, I had one black woman complaining because the woman who owned the twerk studio fired her because she said her technique was off. I mean, but see, we gave that power. They've appropriated everything. They've appropriated hip hop, and I'm not just talking about rap. I'm talking about the entire culture. They've appropriated it and monetized it for them. That's something that we consistently allow. The thing is, we are the original, and therefore anything that comes from us and other people are doing, they are imitating us. That alone should tell us how powerful we are. That alone should tell us how gifted we are. That alone should give us an idea of what we're capable of. The greatest fear of the Eurocentric elite is that we will discover who we are, that we will actually take an examination of self and determine that we are quite exceptional, that we have unabated ability to create, that we have the ability to imagine something and bring it about to play. There's an old term that used to be used when I was growing up. Um, and it got kind of cleaned up when I got probably in high school, but early on in life, and I don't know how long it had been around before I first heard it as a young child, probably in the early 70s, because I'm old. It was old enough for me to remember it, and I heard it on. But that was this term or this phrase called nigger rigging, and it meant that something was wrong, and we found a way outside of the scope of what was natural, normal, and acceptable to fix it, and it worked. And then we kind of cleaned it up, and it became known as African American engineering or Black engineering. But it was initially called nigger rigging, and it's because we're that creative. We can take something. If you look at the vast majority of things that were invented, they were invented by us, and they were invented out of necessity. No, Eli, you know for a fact that the cotton gin was uh, invented and designed and created by a black man. White man didn't care. He had black man picking his cotton. It had to be somebody that was tired of picking cotton to invent the cotton gin. And you can go on and on. The signal light that everybody uses all around the world, and so much more. The cell phone. Oh, we can just go on and on and on of how creative we are, but how easily we're misled and sold a bill of goods about how inferior we are, and find us actually copying the people who have copied us instead of just remaining at the forefront of being original, unique, and powerful. So that's what I want to encourage you to do today. I wish I could really stay and talk about this on a deeper level of where it's coming from psychologically, sociologically, environment. We have environments that are literally training us to perform below par, and we are not dealing with that. That's something that's huge. That's something that's big. That's something I'm constantly working on. I'm going to be back over the course of this week, and we're going to talk about these things. With Hey, how you doing, T? Miss Sweet Tea. It's funny saying that up there. I got to get used to that. But hey, how are you doing? But yeah, we have to understand how powerful we are. We have to understand the massive capacity we have to do exceptional and extraordinary things, and we need to start executing. We've got to stop allowing our environment to dictate the restrictions and capacity of our performance, because we are unique people, we are special, but we are operating based off of a controlled environment that was pushed upon us to control us. And we've adjusted to the environment instead of forcing a new environment through the capacity from within. We have been told we have limitations and we've accepted them. It's time to get rid of those limitations. It's time for us to stand up and be who we are. It's time to walk out and be bold. On that note, I'm gonna get off of here. Like I said, it's time for a change. We got to discover who we are. Don't forget to support the work we do. I'm about to get off of here. I've got to get to my client. Uh, it's been a couple of weeks because she's been ill, so got a lot of catching up to do. But I definitely want you to think about what was said in this video. If you can jive with it, if you feel it, share it. Uh, be prepared to talk about it more in depth as we move through the week. Or you can really get deep into it by getting my book, Born in Captivity: Psychopathology as a Legacy of Slavery. The links are in the box. Again, support the work we're doing. We are not going to stop. This year is going to be a year of extraordinary change in the lives of the people I come in contact with. I refuse to leave this world not having made an impact. I refuse to leave this world and it's the same way I found it or worse. I just refuse. And what I know is that every last one of you has the ability to do the same thing. You've been lied to, and I'm coming to you to tell you the truth. And I am telling you that you are exceptional. We are an exceptional and extraordinary people. I mean, just think about the things that we just do naturally. And the other people look at and wish they can do and marvel at it, and it just comes naturally. They'll tell you it doesn't have value, but it does, or they wouldn't be sitting there licking their chops wishing they could do it. Start to value yourself. On that note, I'm gonna get out of here. I gotta make contact with my client. But I absolutely love every last one of you. Thank you for stopping and dropping in. Like I say, if you like what you've heard, share the video. You know that we're rebuilding because they snatched us down, but that's okay. We're moving. On that note, I'm out of here.